All right, so we're gonna get started. So whether you're just getting started in the rental business or you already are started, knowing what car to buy is very, very important because if you go and purchase the wrong car, then you're gonna be in a bad position. So I know one of the biggest things, one of the biggest challenges for myself was holding myself back from going and buying the Lamborghini right away because I knew exactly how the credit lenders work and I had set my credit in a very good position where I could have gone and bought some luxury cars, but I didn't. I stayed patient. First car I bought, 2019 Honda HR-V. I bought it, financed it, and from there, then I just had begun running the plane. I added more and more over time, and I didn't buy my first luxury car until I already had 30 economy cars making me money. And this is important because you don't want to be over leveraging yourself in case of something happening. Some of the most successful people in the world, they think about the best situation and the worst situation. You have to be ready for the worst situations. So if you have a luxury car that the parts take 2 to 3 months to order, then you're going to be paying the car note for those 2 to 3 months. If you have an economy car, most of the time the parts are more available and the car note is not going to be huge. So if you're going to be dealing with repairs for a month, by that point you have made enough money in the rental business to sustain that car note. So who am I? I'm Jose Moreno. I just turned 23 2 weeks ago. Manage 129 vehicles in my fleet in California, Nevada, and Florida. I locked in partnerships in a handful of states. Recently locked in a partnership in Washington, D.C. So just focusing on that part now. I spent over 150,000 in mentorships, just learning about the rental business, the car rental, the private rental business. Because originally I started my first mentorship was for Turo and learning how to do Turo. But I learned very quickly that was just a rat race and you're just running in circles. So the best thing to do is become your own company. So once I learned how to become my own company and do private rentals, that's when I had started seeing real success with this. This is why I put everything in one mentorship because I believe that Turo should just be used as a stepping stone. It shouldn't be all. I'm coming to many, many hosts that know how to do the Turo thing, but they don't know how to do the private thing. But the private thing is where all the real money is at. And if you want to make real money, you have to learn how to do it that way. So a lot of you may be asking, how should I get started? I've had conversations about how you should get started, but I want to go over this in depth with you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. So one thing you want to do is you want to position yourself to get the best deals. I'm going to start on Orlando. Oh, I know. What do you mean? What's about Ignore it. Ignore it, please. Yes. I will talk about right now. I want to see it don't complete the T1. I don't want to discuss the book. So you want to position yourself to get the best deals. So one way you can do this is by having your credit in the best position or, having your business in the best position so that you can get this type of funding. So when you have good credit, you can go into the dealership and you can pretty much buy what car you want at rates that you want to. If you go into the dealership and you're getting a very, very high interest rate, then you're going to be paying a lot of extra on the back end. And you don't want to be doing that. Or you're going to be upside down in your loan. You don't want to be doing that. Some of the highest percentage I paid was, it wasn't in the double digits range. So if you go to the double digits range, you have to take a look at your credit. And if it's new and you do end up in one of those positions, the best thing you can do is refinance it or get out of it in 6 to 8 or 12 months. Most of the time, you want to keep a car on your credit at least 8 months so it can benefit your credit. So one of the things I like to do is I'll keep a car for 8 months and then I'll trade it in. So I'll start with a car that costs $50,000, then I'll trade it in after 8 months to $120,000, and then I'll keep the car at $120,000. I'll keep it for 8 months, and then I'll go to a car that's $175,000. And then at this point, trade it in again after 8 months, and then you're pretty much reaching like 225, 250. And then at this point, after you reach the 250 mark, you can pretty much buy any car with $0 down if you were to trade it in and you started with $0, or you can sell that car and then at a different point in time, you'll already have that on your credit profile. So having good credit is super important because not only Is it going to help you purchase the cars? If you decide you want to purchase a facility to operate out of, then you have to have good credit. You can do it through your business, but still having good credit is going to be very, very beneficial, and it's going to make the process a lot faster and easier rather than just doing it with the EIN only. You're gonna have a lot more hoops to jump through that way. And a lot of the credit I've seen, so I've done a lot of, I've helped a lot of individuals with their credit, not only in the rental business, but just credit in general, because I have experience with credit and I've built up my own credit. So I know a lot about this. I work with other individuals that are credit professionals. So most of the credit issues can be solved by making a few changes, such as taking a look at your utilization. A lot of people don't even know when your utilization is marked. So you may think that you're in a great position, but this statement date comes by, and you maxed out your credit card, and it's going to look like you're irresponsible with your credit, even though you've always paid on time. So just small changes like that, inquiries, you can get them off. Just send me a message, and I can help you out with that. Because it's a whole process. Would just take a whole nother master class, but I would love to help you out with that. So what are some of the best ways to buy? So the best way to buy is by going and buying cash. You can finance the car, or you can go to the auction or buy a wholesale. Cash purchases. Cash purchases are some of my favorite because you can get in at a very, very good deal. So you can get a car for $6,000, $7,000. You can rent it out for $1,300 a month. I have some examples right off the top of my head. A Honda Fit, a Ford Focus are some cars that I do this with. And they're just cash flowing. Cash flowing, the car cost me $6,000 to $7,000. So they're very, very good. Some of the cons are that if you buy the wrong car, you could run into a lot of maintenance. So if your credit's not in the best position, this is some of the best choices. This is the best option because you're not going to be paying a lot of interest on it. And then there's also more room for negotiation. So if the car is listed at $8,000, you can negotiate your way down because you're paying cash. So look, I got cash tomorrow or today if you're ready to make the deal. And another benefit of this also works for cars that you paid off after financing, is you can use these as collateral. So you can go into a bank like Navy Federal. You can go to Navy Federal, tell them, look, I have this title to this car. This is my car. Let's say your car is valued at $6,000. They may give you a loan for $6,000, cash loan. Or they may do it for $5,000, just depending on your credit profile. Another way this is helpful is I actually work with some companies that do floor plans. So floor plans are what dealerships use to get cars. So you can get 50 to 100 cars at a time, or you can get, let's say you have, $100,000 in cars, they can give you anywhere from 30 to 80% of the value in a credit line. So if you have 100,000, they can give you 30,000 to $80,000 in credit line, which you can do and go buy more. But the reason they give you that is because you have the cars as collateral. Some of the cons are that there's no warranty. So you can go and you can buy a car that someone just fixed up to sell, and then you're going to be dealing with that car. One of the best ways to avoid this is to bring a mechanic with you. There's been situations where I've run into these issues, and it definitely could have been avoided if I would have been patient and brought a mechanic. So learn from my mistakes, bring a mechanic with you, and have them check it out. Financing. So financing is a great option. This is how I first started. It's not the best option if you're already up and running. At this point, if you're already up and running, you can finance it through a credit line. So you can go to like an auction, use a credit line that you have got through a floor plan or through your business. And it's still financing, but it's not your traditional financing. But if you're just getting started, you don't have a huge business credit profile, you don't have a lot of cash, then financing is a good option. This is exactly how I started. Like I said earlier, first car I got, 2019 Honda HRV, $0 down. Credit was in good shape, so I bought it right away. So these are the best option if you want to have low startup costs. You're just starting. Another good thing is that it'll build your credit history, and you have warranty. So any big issues or defects, they'll be covered. Some of the cons are that there's overhead. So finance the right car. Don't go and finance a Mercedes. Go finance a Lamborghini, a Charger, a car that's going to get crashed very easily, or a car that you can't get the parts for 3 months. Don't go and finance one of those right away if you can't handle the back end if something were to happen and it were to stop making money. Like I had a Honda, I didn't have a lot. I took a leap of faith, but the car payments were 477. So I was still able to pay that if something were to happen. You have to think about the best case and the worst case. So you got to be ready. And then some of the cons are that, like if it's time like this, interest rates are okay if you can get yourself in the right position. But if you're paying double digits for interest, then you're really, really going to be spending more money than you need to. The highest I've done is 10%. Still made really good money. Still came out even. So everything that I made while I had the car was profit. So and then when I sold it, I broke even. So that means everything I made with the car was profit. That's some of the highest ones. And then some of the lower ones made really, really good profit. So just take a look at your credit. Go in there with good credit. Don't go and finance super, super high because you're going to be wasting a lot of money there and you're going to be upside down. And then another con is that if you go to the dealerships, most of the time the prices are very high. You can negotiate a little bit, but compared to other ways you can get it, such as cash or going to an auction, they're going to be high. Does anybody have any questions this far? At this point, does anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
What's up? What's up?
It's good, bro.
How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Can't complain.
You got questions?
Oh, no question. Just
All right,
listening
man.
in.
All right, man. So next option is going to the auction and going wholesale. So some dealerships like Nissan, they have wholesale options that will give you, you have to work out a deal with them. Most of the time you have to have a dealer license. But in some counties, once you start really scaling, you're going to get your rental car license and they'll give you a dealer license as well. You'll take the test for the dealer license. So it's very beneficial. And then you can also go to auction. There are some auctions that they don't require you to have a dealer license, but the prices may be a little higher, but you can still find good deals. So in order to get yourself in the best position to go into these places, you're going to need to have a credit line. So you want to get position yourself and your business to get, good credit like 100K, 250K, 500K. You can get floor plans, you can get 800K. You have to know the right places to get these type of credit lines, but I can help you out. So if you guys are interested in this, you think you're in a position for this, I can always help you out. And then you can always get the newer cars for really good prices when you go to like the dealership auctions or you get wholesale deals from the dealership. So how did I start? Like I said, I financed the Honda HR-V when I first started and I got it with zero down. And at this point, I didn't have a lot of anything. I was just getting started. I was dabbling in a couple businesses, but I never really found my true calling until I found this. I didn't find my real motion or real success until I found the car rental business. The car rental business, it really, really changed my life because I was dabbling in a couple businesses and I didn't enjoy it like I enjoy this one. I love cars. I love doing business and getting clients, communicating with clients. I love all of it. So this was a good option for me, and just depending on your situation, it may be a great option for you to start off with. And at this point, I know many of you, some of you may have 10 cars, some of you may have no cars. But the fact is that to jump into this business, you have to be willing to take the risk. You got to jump into it and you got to bet on yourself. Not everything's always going to be a clear vision. It's not always going to be the right time. There's never going to be a perfect time. There's always going to be something going on. So when you see a good opportunity, jump on it, make it happen. And at this point also, you got to be willing to bet on yourself, because if you can't bet on yourself, how do you expect anyone else to bet on you or anyone else to invest in you? Because at some point you want to grow your business to where you have investors. I met, somebody was asking me earlier how I met one of my investors, And actually, one of my executives lined up a meeting with him. He met him at the gas station. He set up a meeting with him, and this person ended up investing around 300,000 in my company. But I'm already at the point where I was established. But to do this, it wasn't always Corvettes and Lambos. It wasn't always like that. I had to bet on myself and keep working through it. So how do I get cars now? Most of the cars I get now are through partnerships or investors. And the reason I do this is because a lot of my partners, they already have a rental car business, but they're not making the money like they thought they would. So I come into it and I help them out in exchange for a management fee. It's a win-win situation. And I'm able to get 12, 15, 20 cars at one time versus having to go and purchase each one individually. I already have 12 sitting there and I take a smaller cut, but I'm able to acquire more. It's also a win-win situation. So at the end of the day, everybody's winning. They're getting passive income. Your company's taking care of the customers, building the good name, and it's making the management fees. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
What does the floor plan look like?
So the floor plan can get you anywhere from 5 to 7% interest rate, and they'll give you anywhere from 30% to 80% of your value. Does that make sense?
30% or 80%? 30 to 80% of the value of what?
So 30 to 80% of your fleet value that you own outright. So let's say you own $100,000 of your cars outright, have your business name on it or your name on it. They'll give you 30 to 80%. I mean, some of the, you have to become more established at this point to really, really get some good credit lines. But like, let's say you have a Ferrari that's in your personal name or a Lamborghini that's in your business name. You have multiple cars and you're up to 100K. Then they'll give you anywhere from 300,000. I mean, if your value is at $1 million, so you have $1 million in equity in your cars, they'll give you anywhere from 300,000 to 800,000 in a credit line, in a flexible credit line. And you can use it how you want to. They give you 5 to 7% on what you're using.
Got it. Makes perfect sense. Okay.
So, I mean, another advantage of that is like if you have the floor plan already and you buy another car like a Ferrari or something, you can just put it up as a collateral for your floor plan. Or if you have a jet, you could be like, hey, look, actually add my jet to those floor plan collateral, then you just increase your credit line tremendously. So actually the person I was talking to about this, they're like, yeah, I just put my 488 Rari on there and it just jumped so much. So it just depends on the value of your fleet and how much you're working with. But also, if you're not at that point, the same team that I'm working with for floor plans, they'll also do credit lines up to like 250K. So this is more based on your credit score and your credit history rather than what you have at the moment.
You said up to 250K. Is that on the business side, personal side?
Yeah, it's on the business side.
Is it from like different companies or is it just from one company?
We're working on coming from one company. So right now could get you like 100 to 250K from multiple companies, but I'm working with the same person that does the floor plans for me. I'm working on creating a credit line for you guys that's just based off your score and your history. But it's creative financing, but they're not going to give you any horrible interest rates. It's all, it's good because actually the owner
interest rate?
From 5 to 7%.
On the business side?
Yeah, on the business side.
You're saying 100 to 200K?
We're working on 100 to 250K. But the reason is that, they're just developing the product because the person who actually owns the company, the lending company, they actually have a rental company as well. They have like over 500 units themselves. So they understand the creative financing part of it. Of course, it's easier if you already own cars outright, but if you have a good credit, they can leverage that.
what are they looking for in the credit?
Credit history, credit score,
Like I mean, do you know some of
the
the
requirements like
main
720 and
yeah
above,
yeah
720 and above,
exactly.
auto loans paid off, low utilization, good multiple accounts in good standing. So
What
the
is
more
that?
the
What is
better.
that multiple? What is multiple accounts? Like what's like the
So
criteria? Like over 10 plus, over 5 plus, over like 20 plus. Like
well, the more you have, the more you're gonna have access to. So I've
so
seen
yeah.
agents.
Let's say if you have over 10 plus, is that like an okay, very good?
That's good. If you're like if you're over 30 accounts, then you're very good. The more
Yeah.
the more accounts in good standing you have, the more credit you're gonna get.
What
So
if
you gotta
like
position yourself.
I guess like in this sense, this is for like a rental car company specifically, right? This is for you doing
Yeah.
rental car business. What if they saw I guess like just the fact that you've paid off four cars or so on your personal credit. Like are they looking at your business credit or are they looking at your personal credit more so?
Well, you're gonna be personal guaranteeing the business. So yeah, they're looking at your personal. So if you have those paid off on your personal, then it's looking good.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
how
I mean, it definitely.
and then how easy is the process? Like let's say you got $200,000. Like what would you as a business owner be focused on investing that in?
So when I get to 200K, then I would just go immediately to the auction. And I would get 6 cars. The auction. I would, I myself, I would go get if I was spending 100K, I'll go get 10 eco cars. I'll get 20 eco cars and just run them, run them, run them. Because if one car has maintenance issues, I still have 19 other cars going. And then at that point, once that everything's going good on that end, then I'll just go buy some luxury cars. But I'm not going to right away go buy a bunch of luxury cars. You could, but that's not the way. That's
What's
not the way
your
I really see it.
So I mean, I guess when you look at the economy cars right now, like how do you look at like the market, like how it's kind of like dropped in a way to where like the car values from last year have like kind of decreased like tremendously over like this year. Is it like a certain type of model that you, I guess, go for to avoid that from happening,
Yeah, so I
or
buy cars that are already past the major depreciation. So like I don't buy cars that are under like 5,000. I always buy them at like 20,000, 30,000, because then your depreciation is not huge from the time that you buy it to the time that you sell it, which is usually around a year to 2 years, just depending on the
mm,
car. But if you're buying Hondas, they hold their value very, very well because everybody will still buy a
yeah,
Honda with 100,000 miles. So you can buy it at 30, sell it at 80, and just rinse and repeat.
got it. So that's when you say economy cars, you're talking about mid like 20 to 30K, not 5K to 10K.
You can work with just depends. Like, cause okay, so I have
Because
some Fords that I
yeah.
bought.
Because I mean, if you say you get $200,000 line of credit and you get
Mhm.
$20,000 per vehicle, that's 10 cars right there. But if you
Yeah,
get them at let's say $10,000, that's 20 cars, right? So that's
yeah,
more of the cash cars that you're buying outright. You probably won't be able to buy a Honda with just $10,000. So I mean, you understand where I'm coming from. So
yeah. I understand
it's
what you're
kind
coming
of
from. So you could, you just have to factor in if you're going to. You got to factor in the maintenance too. So
hmm
you could go and buy like 10 at 20,000, or you can just go buy 20 at 10,000 and think about the maintenance. There's both ways to do
mm,
it. But if I'm buying a car that's 10,000, then I'm buying it at higher mileage, like 60 to 80, and I'm selling it at like 100 to 120.
got it. And you're still doing that for like Hondas and stuff like that. Like you're
Correct,
gonna
correct.
go for like Toyota Corollas, like the cars that hold their value in a way, not like a Nissan or Hyundai or something like
Well, I
kind of
mean,
like
I've,
a
I've run it.
Ford.
I've run it with like Fords. I've run it with Hondas. I've run it with Nissan. I've run it um, with Hondas and Toyotas as well. But the Honda and Toyotas always the best because I avoid the maintenance.
Mm,
You avoid the maintenance a lot easier on the Honda and Toyota side rather than the Ford side. I have one Ford that I bought, good pricing, started at 65. I'm about to sell it, but that one, I haven't dealt with any maintenance. But I have other ones that I bought for 6,000, and the maintenance has just been horrible. So that's one of
yeah,
the that's one of the cons of buying the cash cars that cheap.
mm-hmm.
You got to be careful what car you're buying. But if you can make the right purchases and you can inspect it when you buy it correctly, bring a mechanic. Because like I said earlier, I was impatient at that time. I
Yeah,
should have been patient and brought a mechanic.
yeah, that's smart. That's smart. So bringing a mechanic and also shopping like in the auction, so you're not going to the dealership and getting, because if you go to the auction and you try to pick up a Toyota or a Honda, you can probably maybe find one within like 7,000 to 10,000, because it's at a
Correct.
cheap price, right? But it's just
Correct.
gonna be a little bit harder, or just gonna be a
Yeah,
little
it
more work.
is going to be harder to find those at that price range because everybody wants them.
Yeah,
But if you get your
exactly,
hands on it, then you're coming up.
exactly. So yeah, you just gotta, it's just like anything, man. You just gotta knock on more doors.
That's what you got to do, man. Numbers game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
What's
was
that?
my.
Anybody else got? That's your question?
Yep, yep.
All right, man. Anybody else got any other questions? Walk in with confidence and nothing too hard. Yeah, man, you gotta go. You gotta go into the negotiations feeling good. Anybody got any other questions? All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be sending a recording. If you guys want the recording, send me a message. And if you're interested in the credit lines, I can help you. Any business funding, I can help you. And the floor plan's coming soon. So just stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in. Send me a direct message and let's go.